Niger's coup leader has denounced ECOWAS sanctions as illegal and inhumane. It comes hours after the West African Regional Bloc met in Abuja to discuss the use of military intervention as a last resort in Niger. The bloc also sent a delegation to Niamey to negotiate. But Abdurrahmane Tiani says the junta will not bow to regional or international pressure to reinstate ousted President Mohamed Bazoum.
NSP. If we can avoid a peaceful resolution of constitutional right in the country, so again, that is our preferred option. But we have to prepare for all eventualities. And Excellencies, you are here for the final eventuality, the last resort. That is planning for a possible intervention to restore constitutional order. If we can avoid a peaceful resolution of constitutional right in the country, so again, that is our preferred option. But we have to prepare for all eventualities. And Excellencies, you are here for the final eventuality, the last resort. That is planning for a possible intervention to restore constitutional order.
Joining us now to discuss the ECOWAS-Niger standoff and the involvement of Nigeria is Professor Babafemi A. Badejo, author of a bestseller on politics in Kenya. He was also a former deputy special representative of the UN Secretary General for Somalia and currently a legal practitioner and professor of political science, international relations, Chrisland University, Abeokuta, Nigeria.
Prof, good morning. Good morning, Prof.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, Ruben. How are you?
I'm fine, sir. Good to see you, sir. Well, very quickly, the developments in Niger. Is Nigeria taking a risk? Considering the fact that Nigeria is leading the process with our president as chairman of ECOWAS, and now we have Niger being supported by a number of countries. 5 countries stayed away from the meeting of the army chiefs of ECOWAS yesterday. Algeria is supporting the coupists in Niger, more or less. Russia is also supporting them. But Nigeria and the other countries say, well, we've given you a deadline. We've imposed sanctions. If you don't do this within this period, we would declare, military intervention. Is Nigeria taking a risk? If not, what are the benefits of Nigeria leading this process as it did previously in Sierra Leone and Liberia?
Well, tough other question you are asking. There is a lot of difference between Liberia and Sierra Leone that you referred to and Niger. Liberia, Sierra Leone were very serious situations in which humanitarian people were being killed and war was raging, and we went in to try and stabilize the situation. But even that, our stabilization effort was at a huge cost. Thousands, maybe something in the range of almost 1,000 Nigerians got lost in that war. The 2 wars. And then the financial cost of that laudable effort is being estimated for both of them at about 13 or 15 billion dollars. But we should be happy because the Liberians and the Sierra Leoneans continue to thank Nigeria for saving their lives, and good neighborliness helped in all that. But to the best of my knowledge, even though we got the understanding of the United Nations for carrying out that experience, we did not get reimbursed for that money because it was not the money spent, because it was not a UN operation. But here in the case of Niger, a coup has taken place. We will be in denial if we are saying that there isn't, it's just some mutiny or whatever, a process that is still ongoing, it is very clear that if you have a coup that lasts 24 to 48 hours, then you accept that it's a coup that has succeeded. It's no longer an attempt. And the Nigerians have since been consolidating, as you pointed out. They're building up relationships with a number of countries, starting with the ones that are also under ECOWAS sanction in that respect, Guinea, Mali, Burkina Faso. And beyond that, the other contiguous countries like Algeria that are feeling concerned that if ECOWAS should turn itself into an intervention force over Niger, automatically it's going to spill over to them, and they are beginning to say that they are going to see it also as an attack on them. So many things are happening. Whether we can still use that last resort we are talking about is a different thing entirely. I think we have moved too fast in threatening to use force without weighing the possibilities of our success in using such a force. And ECOWAS has very, very limited experience in terms of being an intervention force. We have not even succeeded on the economic and political good governance issues, but we are turning ourselves into an intervention force that is ready to go into Niger and reverse the situation. Of course, it is sad that there was a coup against a government that, quote, was elected, because I don't want to go into the details of the problems that were faced before Mohamed Bazoum was put into office by his predecessor. But let's not go into that. Accept that you have an elected government in Niger that was overthrown. What were the reasons for the overthrow? We don't know. These are some of the issues that before our president, as the chairman of ECOWAS, issued the authorities, announced the authorities' position, authority of heads of state, we should first of all have done a lot of effort in finding out. And what we are now doing, because from my understanding, General Abdusalami Abubakar and the Sultan of Sokoto and a number of other people, Nigerians, are negotiating in Niger. General Abubakar has a lot of experience. He was the one that went in for ECOWAS to negotiate when there was the problem with Tanja, President Tanja at the time, and they spent quite some months with a number of Nigerians. General Williams accompanied Abdusalami, Dr. Remi Ajibawa on the part of ECOWAS. There are many of these people that perhaps we should have asked Nigeria, even talked amongst ourselves as to whether the kind of moves we want to make are the correct one. If you find a man, you open your door and you find a man on top of your wife and you kill the man, you can argue that provocation, manslaughter. But after 7 days, you want to go to war. It's no longer, it's like if you have now, as the man who saw the person on on your wife, you now went to plan, and a few days later went to kill the man. That's murder. And we can't expect that the Nigerian will roll over. And there are several other dimensions of it, international dimensions. Yes, the French are on ground. The Americans are on ground with their drone bases in Niger. All these people have intelligence, especially the French.
Yes, sir.
What were they doing when they saw the coup rolling on?
Good question, Professor Badejo.
And we now want to be, we now want to move into the situation. We now want to go carry out the jobs that these people should have done. And when I'm saying we, because normally when you're talking about ECOWAS, you're talking about Nigeria. Nigeria pays most of the funding of ECOWAS. And not only then, when it comes to this kind of operation, the others will push and say, yes, Nigeria should move forward. We are with you. You are our big brother. We cannot do anything without you. And we end up carrying the brunt in terms of body bags.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not against that. That is necessary for a leadership. But you also have to look at what are your benefits in doing some of these things.
Okay, Professor Badejo. I'd like to just ask a question here, sir. With regards to, just to take you back with regards to, yes, thank you very much. Just to take you back with regards to the UN Security Council, if a veto had been sought. Because General Abdurrahmani Chiani had mentioned that the sanctions imposed on Niger by the ECOWAS bloc is illegal and inhumane. What's your take? Would you consider this illegal and inhumane, especially also this threat of military, force at the expiration of the deadline or the timeline given to them, which is Sunday, the 6th of August? Would it be considered as illegal? Has the UN Security Council been consulted, or can ECOWAS act in its own stead?
Well, a very good question you have asked. My position is based on the Charter of the United Nations. The United Nations has the authority to seek pacific settlements of dispute, peaceful settlement under Chapter 6 of the Charter. It also has peace enforcement powers under Chapter 7 of the Charter. Chapter 8 of the Charter gave roles to sub-regional organizations like ECOWAS to be involved in trying to solve problems in their area. And ECOWAS like to talk about the subsidiarity principle. The subsidiarity principle is talking simple, that those who are closest to the issue handle the issue. But in handling that issue, it is pacific settlement, not peace enforcement. Even though I do know that ECOWAS has protocols that they had passed among themselves, given themselves the authority to put on these sanctions and to also embark on peace enforcement. But you don't embark on peace enforcement if you don't get the authority of the United Nations. It is illegal if they decide, like you said, on August 6th, that, okay, we are going to move in. I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think it's even an option for them as at now. However much there are the rumors that they are amassing troops at the border. Normally, troop movements are for several reasons, but I don't think it's because they think they can invade Niger on Sunday. But you've seen bigger powers invade little ones, but there is also small countries having their own powers, and those kind of powers those who, Finland, Sweden, Norway, all of them who are close to the Soviet Union, know what it takes to seek alliances elsewhere to counter a neighboring big power. Small Guinea-Bissau in 98-99 was invaded by Senegal and Guinea-Conakry at the same time. What came out of it? They were bogged down because you went into somebody's territory to meet a united army, and you are not going to find it very, very easy. You have to know the terrain extraordinarily well. But let's not go into some of these because I think we've lost credibility. ECOWAS is losing credibility by issuing threats before weighing what the options are. The first thing to have been done would have been to send a delegate, an envoy. Well, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu tried to send President Patrice Talon of Benin Republic. He was not welcomed. Okay. But it would have been different if at that time he had decided to send Abdusalami Abubakar or even President Buhari, if he is still having time to go talk to his brethren in Niger to see what can be done. But we didn't take all that at the beginning. But because things are now slipping, we are now beginning to see that we should go into negotiation. You mentioned the fact that not everybody attended the meeting of the chiefs of defense staff. That is telling you the crack that normally happens when some of these things are happening as to how many of the 15 countries of ECOWAS already take out Guinea, Burkina Faso, Mali, who are already under suspension. Can Nigeria do it alone? It's not advisable, even if we think we can. Personally, I don't think we can. But even let's say that we have that capacity to go in and get the promise of assistance from the powers that are already on the ground, and we think we can be bogged down, and you create a humanitarian problem, a man-made humanitarian problem, in which you now have to deal with refugees. You now have to deal with all the people we are calling bandits from West Africa and Boko Haram, because it will be easy for all of them to come together temporarily to give Nigeria a bloody nose. And our air power is all what we have as an advantage. But that air power itself can be reduced to almost nothing if there are enough anti-air missiles in the hands of people. And I don't even want to go into all the details of whether the Wagner group that are already in Mali and Burkina Faso, but it doesn't look good that it doesn't look good. We should continue on the lines that we are already going now, belatedly, and that's negotiations.
Okay, Prof. One of the questions you had in your submission is that do we even have the money? And is this even a fair economic time for us to be able to prosecute this action? Because we are not thinking of our own domestic outlook.
Yes, there is no doubt that we are worse off than some of the interventions we have made in the past. Now we have a ballooned level of loans, because the total loan at the beginning of this administration is huge, and it's telling on our foreign exchange in terms of the rate of the naira to the dollar. When you look at the totality and the fact, and that we are the only ones who are paying 60, 70, 75% of the funding necessary for this situation. And without a United Nations authorization, you can't even expect any support coming from that end. In fact, we will be seen as carrying out an illegitimate, illegal invasion, whether under ECOWAS. Of course, big powers do that because Bush Senior went into Iraq, and in doing that, they got UN authorization. Bush Jr. spoke about weapons of mass destruction and everything, and he went in because he knew that he would face a veto at the UN. But it was an illegitimate, but he was the lion, and who is going to be asking the lion how much you are taking? So, but are we able to get away with it in terms of the international ramifications of that? Are we likely going to get a UN Security Council resolution in support of what we are doing? No. The last time there was that was Libya. Libya and Russia and China abstained, but Russia regrets that it abstained because of what NATO did using Resolution 1973 of the United Nations Security Council. So I am of the opinion that we do not have the financial capacity, the necessary muscle at this particular point in time to carry out an operation inside Niger. And it's not up to the stage. Bazoum is still alive. We are happy about that. We should not hasten a situation in which he is hostage in the hands of the coupists. I understand they have since appointed generals for the 8 regions of the country, and so they are consolidating, and they sent a flight out to go negotiate relationships, including possibilities with the Wagner Group and all the rest of it and whatever. So it's not looking good. I think the lack of experience and that our president faced should be corrected by his advisors and the institutions that he has, because we have institutions. You need to ask yourself, what are our institutions doing? What is the National Intelligence Agency doing that they don't know that this was about to happen? And then you try to find a way to negotiate it all before it actually takes place. But now that it has taken place, we have to live with, in my own view, a negotiated settlement and not be pushed by anybody that we can do it, we should do it, and being thanked by them that we are doing they are very proud of us. When somebody else is getting proud of you going to beat up your brother, you should be asking what's the interest of that person.
Absolutely.
Prof, diplomacy and interventions by way of sanctions did not work in Mali. It did not work in Burkina Faso. Is there any guarantee that diplomacy and negotiated settlement will work in Niger? And what shape should that negotiated settlement take? Since you say they've consolidated beyond 24 hours.
Yes. Yeah, well, it's a very good question that you have asked. When you have a coup situation, it is life and death for all the parties involved. And many people agree to die standing than roll over and say, come and run over me. In which case, let's see what General Absalami Abubakar will live with. Yes, we are concerned about the coup contagion spreading, and I think that's our main concern if we have anything in this. But the solution to coup contagion is not threats. It is to deal with why are people not happy with the governments that they have? And if people are not happy with the governments that they have, what can we do to ensure that there is proper democracy? Democracy is not because you have won elections. That is a very small, minute aspect of democracy. It is the performance. It is the dividends that people get out of. Why do we have governments? It's for governments to take charge and make life better for us. But if life is worsening, but to return to your main question, the question of what will likely be, it is very clear. It is very clear they have consolidated. We don't want any blood loss in all this. Then you go in and negotiate with them. It could take you months. And at the end of the month, it could be decided that Bazoum should come back. It's highly unlikely, in my view, and from experience in many cases, but there are one or two experiences where that had happened before. But in all probability, you will now be talking about when is the next election, and you start pressuring towards the next election. Perhaps if we didn't lose credibility from the very beginning, it would be easier to then negotiate that the current coupists will not be part of the election process. And in that case, you can aim at free and fair. Free and fair. I hate that those two words because we throw them easily. But you can at least, yes.
We have just about 30 seconds to go.
Yes.
When you were talking about cost, you said the UN will not fund anything if it doesn't have its imprimatur. But can we get EU, US, France, maybe Germany to fund a military intervention in case the ECOWAS leaders insist on going ahead with that? Briefly, because we've run out of time.
I have not seen much of that in our experience in the past. I was reading testimonies before the U.S. Senate in 1999. The U.S. abandoned us in all what we did in Liberia, in spite of the fact of the length of relationship that they had with Liberia. Of course, if you want to get the money, ask for the money up front, but you never even know what it's going to cost when you start it in terms of money. Look at what is happening between Russia and Ukraine. Okay. The thinking that everything will be in just 1 or 2 weeks. Okay. So for me, I wouldn't be banking on those whose interests have not been to support us and have us have our feet on developmental processes.
On that note, Prof, I would like to thank you very much for joining us on the morning show. Thank you, Professor Babafemi Badejo.